30 seconds ago, they were pressed against your neck, eyes closed, beak grinding, every feather on their body loose and soft and warm. You could feel their heartbeat through your skin. You could feel the weight of total trust settling into you like gravity. And you thought, this is it. This is the bond everyone talks about. This is what it feels like when a cockatoo loves you completely. Then the beak turned, and everything that was soft became a blade. Blood on your hand, pain in a place that was just being held. And a bird sitting 3 feet away, looking at you with an expression you can't decode. Not angry, not satisfied, not afraid, just confused, like they don't understand what just happened any more than you do. You're standing in your kitchen with a paper towel pressed against your finger, and a hole in your chest that has nothing to do with the wound. Because the bite isn't what broke you. What broke you is that it came from the same bird who was just loving you more purely than anything in your life. And you don't know how both things can be true at the same time. They can. And today you're going to understand exactly why. Subscribe if your cockatoo has ever broken your heart and your skin in the same minute. That bite didn't come from where you think it came from. Let me show you what actually happened inside your bird. The ceiling you can't see. The love was real. I need you to hear that before anything else. The cuddling, the closed eyes, the grinding, the leaning, none of that was performance. Your cockatoo was experiencing genuine, deep, neurological comfort. The touch receptors embedded in their feather follicles were sending signals through their sensory nervous system that registered as safety, warmth, and pair bond intimacy. They were exactly where they wanted to be. But here's what no one tells you about a cockatoo's sensory system. It doesn't have a dimmer switch. It has a circuit breaker. Physical affection registers on a rising intensity curve. Every second of sustained touch adds sensory input to a system that has a threshold. And that threshold is completely invisible. There is no gradual warning, no slow shift from comfortable to uncomfortable, no signal a human hand can feel through feathers. Because the switch from pleasure to overload happens in a single synaptic firing. 1 second the input reads safe, the next second, the exact same touch, the exact same pressure, the exact same feather crosses a line that flips the entire signal from I want this to I need this to stop now. And the only tool a cockatoo possesses to instantly end physical contact is the one thing that just left a mark on your hand. They didn't choose to bite you. Their nervous system chose for them. The emotional center of their brain was still in love, still bonded, still pressed against you in every way that matters, but the sensory system overrode it with a command so fast the bird couldn't intercept it. And this is why, if you've ever watched your cockatoo's face in the seconds after a bite like this, they look lost, distressed. Sometimes they try to step back towards you immediately. Because the emotional brain is asking its question it genuinely cannot answer. Why did I just hurt the person I love most? The love didn't stop. The nervous system just couldn't hold any more of it. The war inside their body. The second trigger is quieter than the first and harder to hear because it lives in a place most owners don't want to look. When your cockatoo cuddles against you, pressed into your neck, body warm, your hand stroking slowly down their back or under their wing, their hormonal system receives a very specific message. This is mating behavior. You don't intend it that way. You experience it as affection, but a cockatoo's endocrine system doesn't read intent. It reads touch. And every touch below the head, every warm full-body press, every prolonged session of physical closeness activates the same hormonal cascade that would prepare them for reproduction with a mate in the wild. Bonding hormones flood their system. They feel love, real, consuming, devoted love. And simultaneously, reproductive hormones begin demanding something that love cannot deliver. Because you are not a cockatoo. You cannot complete the cycle their body is initiating. And so two signals collide inside your bird at full force. One says, I love this person more than anything alive. The other says, but this person will never give me what my body is screaming for. The bite erupts from the collision point, not as a choice, as an overflow. The neurological equivalent of a fuse blowing under contradictory loads. Your cockatoo isn't angry at you. They are experiencing something closer to heartbreak than aggression, loving someone who triggers everything in their body and can satisfy none of it. And the bite is the only expression that conflict has. This is why reducing below the head touch doesn't just prevent this. It's an act of mercy. You are removing a stimulus that puts your cockatoo's body at war with itself every time you provide it. The bite that wasn't yours. This one is the fastest to explain and the hardest to accept, because it feels the most personal, and it is the least personal of anything on this list. Your cockatoo is on your hand, calm, bonded. Content, and something happens in the environment. A door closes too hard, a car horn outside, a flash of movement from the television. Something their peripheral vision catches that their conscious brain hasn't processed yet. Adrenaline fires. Instantaneously, a full-body surge of fight-or-flight energy that needs to go somewhere, into flight, into a scream, into the nearest available surface, and the nearest available surface is your finger. The bite lands before the cockatoo even knows what startled them. It lands with a force that has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with the bond, nothing to do with anything that was happening between you 1 second earlier. If a wooden perch had been closer to their beak, the perch would have taken it. If a toy had been in range, the toy would have shattered. You were geography. You were the closest object to a nervous system that discharged without aiming. And then you look at the blood and you look at the bird, and your brain writes a story that isn't true. They were loving me, and then they chose to hurt me. They didn't choose anything. You were simply the ground where the lightning struck. The question hidden inside the bite. This is the trigger that will rewrite how you understand every difficult moment you've ever had with your cockatoo. Not every bite comes from overload. Not every bite comes from hormones or redirected adrenaline. Some bites are deliberate, measured, conscious, and they come from the deepest place in the bond, not from its failure, but from its strength. In the wild, cockatoo pair bonds are maintained through conflict and repair cycles. Mates push each other, they squabble, they bite, and then they come back. The reconciliation after the conflict is what proves the bond can survive pressure. A pair that never fights has never been tested, and a bond that has never been tested is a bond the cockatoo cannot fully trust. When your cockatoo bites you during a moment of closeness, not from overstimulation, not from hormones, not from a startle, but with a deliberate, almost curious firmness, they are running an experiment, the oldest experiment in cockatoo social psychology. If I show you the worst version of myself right now, in this moment where everything is soft and safe, will you still be here in 10 seconds? Your response to this bite matters more than your response to any other. If you scream, throw them off, and storm away, the experiment returns a result. The bond breaks under pressure. If you stay, not passively, not without reaction, but without abandoning, the experiment returns a different result, one that a cockatoo carries for months. The bond holds. This person stays even when I'm not lovable. And counter to every instinct telling you to protect yourself, that moment of staying is the moment the bond becomes unbreakable. Not because you tolerated pain, because you answered the only question your cockatoo was actually asking. The seconds you can learn to read. You cannot prevent every bite, but you can learn to see most of them coming. And the window is small, 1 to 3 seconds, but it is there, every single time. Watch the pupils. When your cockatoo is relaxed and cuddling, their pupils dilate and contract slowly, gently, like breathing. When overstimulation approaches, the rhythm changes. The pinning accelerates, rapid dilation and contraction almost flickering. That's the first signal. The system is ramping. Watch the feathers. Relaxed cockatoo plumage is loose, slightly puffed, soft to the touch. In the second before a bite, the feathers compress, tight against the body. A slicking down that happens so fast, you'll only catch it if you're feeling it through your fingertips, rather than watching. With your eyes, feel the feet. If your cockatoo is on your hand, their grip will slowly increase, not a clamp, a gradual squeeze. Like a hand tightening around a railing before a fall. Watch the tail, 2 to 3 millimeters of spread. The tail feathers fanning just slightly wider as arousal builds in the body. You won't see it from the front. You'll see it from the corner of your eye if you know to look. And then the stillness. This is the last signal. The final one. A half-second freeze where all movement stops. The breathing pauses. The body locks. Every neurological resource is being loaded into the next action. If you feel this, If the bird in your hands goes suddenly, completely, unnaturally still, you have less than 1 second. Remove your hand. Offer a perch. Create distance, not in panic, in fluency. Because that's what this is, not a trick, not a training technique, a language. The same language your cockatoo has been speaking before every bite you've ever received. They were warning you every single time. You just didn't know how to listen yet. The love then bite cycle will not disappear from your life with a cockatoo. It can't. It is wired into the neurology of a species that loves at a voltage most nervous systems were never built to sustain. But it can be understood. It can be predicted. It can be softened by learning when to remove your touch before the threshold breaks, by redirecting hormonal energy into foraging and destruction rather than physical closeness, and by knowing every single time it happens that the bite did not cancel the love. The love was still running when the bite fired. The love was still there when the beak opened. The love is still there right now, in the bird sitting across the room who is probably looking at you with the same quiet confusion you're feeling. They didn't betray you. They are a creature whose capacity for love is so enormous that their own nervous system cannot always contain it. And the proof that the love is real isn't that they never bite. It's that 5 minutes after they do, they lean towards you again. They grind their beak, they close their eyes, and they choose you all over again, knowing what they are, knowing what they did, and trusting that you'll still be there. That isn't a cycle of pain. That's a relationship honest enough to include all of it. Like if your cockatoo's love has left a mark on you in every sense, and subscribe because understanding them is how you love them back.